Hey, I just wanted to put this at the beginning of this video, do this quickly. As you'll notice, this watch is running. And the previous video, you haven't saw it, I just got this watch and it wasn't running when I got it. I shook it a bunch of times. It only moved like maybe 1 or 2 seconds and stopped. And that was only like maybe twice or 3 times out of the whole after I got it, and so it was dead. It wasn't running, and so I was like, all right, shoot, I should probably send a request back to return it in exchange for another one, right? That would be the right thing to do. So I was waiting for the person to respond, the seller. I just thought about what could I do, and I just thought, okay, well, I have a 7S26 movement at home, and that I'm not using, which is from a SKX, and this 7S36 movement in here is basically the same movement. It just has an extra 2 joules, so it's just why the joule count is 23. You look it up online, but essentially there's a piece in there that has these 2 joules that no one can really explain. It doesn't necessarily add any accuracy, more time to the power reserve or anything like that. It's not smoother. Not really. One person has a decent explanation, but I can't quote it right now. Anyways, basically they're the same movement, so I could have swapped it if I wanted to. But I was researching this, what could be the problem, and I did not nail anything down, but I got into looking at different DIYs and how to take the movement apart, and maybe some other common, I don't know the common, but there's some other things that could be going on with the movement that you can try, that they showed how they approach fixing it, and I still didn't have a clue, but I looked at what I could, saw some reference photos of different parts of the movement, and basically through research, and I'll let the video speak for itself, but through research and careful observation between this movement and the way it looks like in the back, looking at all the details of what's there and maybe what should line up and what it should look like normally versus a movement that is right, and all its components, the way it looks. I was able to take an educated guess and thinking of how to fix this, and I'll explain it in the video. But basically, I took the gamble and I said, you know what, I'm still waiting for the person to respond. They probably will, but I'm impatient, and I was taking this as a learning opportunity. I'm going to try and fix this movement myself. I mean, these aren't expensive movements anyway, so worst case scenario, I spend about another $65 and up, depending on where, to get another 7S36 movement. Or I can always use my other 7S26 movement, swap out the date and day wheel, so I keep the black ones here onto the new movement. Or for less than the cost of replacing this 7S36 movement, I could get an upgraded movement such as an NH36 or something along those lines for around $35. But yeah, I rolled the dice, sort of, so to speak, and I just kind of went in for what I thought would fix it, and as you can see, it's running now. And I'll leave it at that. I wouldn't recommend people do this, but if you feel adventurous and want to learn and give yourself a pat on the back if you do manage to get it right, go for it. Otherwise, return a watch that doesn't work, such as this was initially, find the right parts or person and or persons to fix the watch to get it to where you need it to go. And that's that. All right, thanks. Hope you can learn something from the video that I made with this. And continue watching and follow. Please follow and like, of course, if you like this stuff, and it'll help keep me going, and push my channel up, and all this good stuff that goes with liking and subscribing and all that. All right, so enjoy the video. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so I took the movement apart on the SNZG13 because it wasn't moving, and what I discovered was, see, there's that little piece right here, and of course I removed the rotor. That was on okay, but that little screw thing, I don't know what to call it, because I am just messing around here. Come on, focus. That was right in here on top, and I was just messing around with it, and it just unscrewed hecka easy, and that seemed kind of unusual, so I don't think that was right. But so that goes right, I can point this correctly, right up in here. And I also noticed that this magic lever system, see how this hand, I don't know if I can get the angle, there's all these like gearing or whatever, teeth or texture, coin edge or whatever you want to call it, around this wheel, and this grips it one way and this does it another way, and this was kind of underneath this wheel while this one was actually touching the side. And I noted that earlier when I was just looking through the case back. So I don't think that's right, because it can't do its thing, right? If it's slipped under there, and this wheel was kind of loose, so I tried pulling this out and moved it out to the side, and this looks correct now, because this pointer, sorry about the focus, this pointer, this end of it should be pointing towards the center of this wheel, whereas when it was slipped under, it was kind of pointing in between this wheel and that didn't look right from any of the pictures that I've seen online of a 7S2S or even the 7S3A6 movement. And then, yeah, so this should have been a little bit further out on the side here. Anyways, we'll see if that works. I'm going to try to screw this piece back on, that little screw cap, and put back on the rotor, because you can't manually wind this, and see if it'll do the trick here, and then see if I get a working movement or not. But I think that was the problem here. Well, that may be one of several. We'll see if it works. Okay, so I put back the case back and the rotor, obviously, and there's the part. Let me see if I can, right. This was a bitch to put on because it screws on counterclockwise instead of clockwise. That's why it was weird though. That's why when I kind of messed with it, I just touched it a little and it fell off. I guess it wasn't tight enough, and that's why that, whatever this wheel is or gear, kind of popped up, and that magic lever, this part of this arm, slipped underneath. So whenever you wind it, it wasn't really winding it, and it would probably make this bottom piece get stuck. So anyways, so I reset this, make sure it was flat, and pulled the magic lever this side out, and see how it's pointing towards the center of this now. Instead, if you look back at earlier in the video, you see that this part was hidden partially really close to this side, and kind of pointing straight through in the middle, in between this and this spot. So that's what I did, and I hand shook this for about a minute. You can see the balance wheel is moving now, and it's holding. Before, when I got the watch, I'd shake it, and it'd move, and then it'd stop, like it wasn't keeping a charge or something. I was wondering, is this thing broken? And I was kind of worried, because like I was looking on eBay at 7S36 parts, and there's a lot of balance wheel parts from China being sold. And I was like, is this a common thing that breaks for some reason? So if it is, then screw it. I'm just going to go back to my 7S26 movement. It's just the same basically, but this has 2 extra jewels. But since I put this back together, and it was just like a piece here that was, again, I suspected this didn't look right. it was underneath here, which all reference photo I've seen, it's never looked like that. It's always stuck out enough that this side of the magic lever, I guess, that arm, that prong, whatever you call it, this side is always, give me a better angle on this. Sorry about the shakiness. I'm hungry and I'm tired and it's late. And it's always aimed more towards, let me see if I can, it looks like it's, reaching out towards this piece more rather than where it was closer to this side and facing like through the middle here, which didn't look right. This side of the movement was always, or the lever was okay. It was where it should be. And that was the main thing that I could spot, at least from observation, that I thought might be a problem with why when I'm shaking this and, it's supposed to wind, come on, focus. This thing, no matter which direction this turns, it'll turn that magic lever, which will move this side of it or this side, but either way, it'll still wind it and wind this. I guess this would be the mainspring under here, possibly. I'm not an expert in all this stuff, but this is my real basic understanding. But you can see that the movement's still running, and most importantly, of course, the movement is still moving up here too. This would only go for maybe 2-3 seconds at most, if I could get it running earlier, before, and then it'd stop. And then there's times where I shake it the heck out of it for 5 minutes and nothing would happen. So we'll see if this holds up. And I have a time graph for now, so I'll be curious to see how it's holding, but I can regulate it. But hopefully nothing else internally, mechanically inside that I really don't want and probably can't fix is wrong with it. It should run now. Whew. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess whoever put this together, Seiko QC sometimes isn't all there. That we can get the tech. I don't know. I gotta look up the parts on the manual that I found online. So yeah, someone who put this together didn't tighten this up, so that's why it was kind of loose. It was kind of teetering slightly, enough where it could lift up, and that part of the, I guess, magic lever, for lack of a better term, this part of it, this side of the arm, slipped underneath there, and so it wasn't grabbing on the side of this to wind it and move it, and thus I believe would wind the mainspring, which is underneath this part of it, and so it wasn't getting power. And what charge I could get out of it from shaking it was probably what was already remaining inside the watch at some point, somehow, and I moved it just a little bit, but it's beaten away. I'll be curious to see how it's doing. I'll probably set the time and put it on time graph, or at least observe it and see how, one, that it doesn't stop moving, and two, just see how accurate it is, if it's really gaining or losing time. But good thing I can leave my 7S26 as an extra movement if I need to. This 7S36 with 23 joules, the original movement, is functioning now. So I'll give you an update if it doesn't, and I can keep most of this information on the back too, of this case where it says 7S36, 23 joules, I think, somewhere. If it doesn't, at least it says that, yeah. And then it means it. Yeah, I did not want to spend, I think I switched the movement to another 7S36 would have been about $60, $65 at least. And that's almost as much as I got off on the watch. So I was like, no, forget it. That's going to negate everything. So I would have used this movement here. Or I could have put in a 4R36 or something. But the crown and stem, this probably wouldn't work for it. So I'd have to find a stem that works with this, something like a 4R movement or a NH36, 35 movement, those type of movements. They have a different stem, and then I'd have to find a way to remove the stock one from this crown, which I think someone said you can do. It's just glued in, and then I'd have to trim it. it's more work than I wanted to fuck with. So yeah, this way I can retain this, keep the original movement, and then I'm just gonna, now I don't have to swap the date wheels either, which I would have done if I had gone with a 7S26. I can keep the black one because it'll be a black dial, a B Flieger dial, and that's good. So hopefully we'll see how this runs. I'll report back in later. Thanks for watching. Okay, left about, I don't even know when I left, about 20 minutes ago or something, and it's still running. This is a good sign because when I got it, it would just, like I said, it would stop after maybe 3 seconds at most. And yeah, I'm glad I was able to figure this mofo out just by a little bit of homework and careful observation. Luckily, the part that was in question right around here was observable from the outside. It wasn't something more internal. And yeah, it's great. I don't know, we'll just see how it runs, but that's something I could fix, I think. Hopefully it's not too erratic for some reason, the beat error or something. We'll see. But yeah, cool. Don't have to worry about messing around with the movement. I can still use it. And now I just gotta wait for the other parts to come and get this mod going. Problem 1, down. Alright.